Welcome to Black History Bootcamp. That was Burn Rubber by the Gap Band. How you doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I just walked fast in the rain. It's pouring. I didn't have no rain jacket. I had no nothing, and I found some cover so I could talk to you. So
It has been thunderstorming like all get out, like twist of weather up here. I mean, all the corn is leaned to the side, the dirt roads is washed away, the
yes,
crabs is walking across the grass. It's a lot happening around here. It's been so long since I heard thunder and lightning and seen lightning, but the
wow,
thunder is booming here, and I think it's because the Gullah people here have preserved the forests and the trees and the farms, and there's enough grass to create humidity and moisture and create thunderstorms. I mean, I'm like in Accra, it's so deforested that there's hardly ever any clouds and there's hardly ever any rain anymore. It's a big, big issue there. So
wow,
I'm grateful for preservation of Mother Earth. And,
yes,
and I just feel so like lulled to sleep by thunderstorms. It's so
me
beautiful.
too.
Well, Vanessa, I started with Burn Rubber because today's conversation is exactly what I personally needed, and I hope it is ministers to somebody's soul and sparks them to have the adventure of a lifetime this summer or this winter, definitely this year. So today we are featuring today's pleasure principle is that adrenaline is alchemy. Adrenaline, what you feel in your body, the chemical response to adventure and excitement, adrenaline is alchemy. And alchemy just means magic, it means chemical magic, right? And so, adrenaline, I cannot wait to hear your stories out there of adrenaline. When have you felt the most adrenaline in your life? When have you felt, and today we want to focus on the good adrenaline, because listen, fight or flight be happening. We don't want that
I
kind of, we don't
literally
want that kind
almost
of
busted
adrenaline.
into tears. I walked back from the doctor. That's why I was in the rain, and we were just talking about stuff, and my adrenaline in my body, and I just burst into tears because I'm just like, you got to know how to harness stuff for your good and not let it eat you alive. So I'm looking forward to this conversation about
Yes,
how it becomes alchemy.
that's so, it's so interesting, Vanessa, because I had not thought about the adrenaline in your body that you've been experiencing with this that you're going through health wise. And I actually think that is a very real thing that we experience this kind of stress hormone from the trauma of fight or flight our entire lives. And so when we have spare time or leisure time or pleasure time, we tend to rest. We tend to rest, and it's like rest is my pleasure. But I want to challenge us to, yes, rest, and then to find what makes our heart beat on purpose, to find what makes us light up and lit up on purpose, to find the zest in life, to relish the moments in life, to find places where we feel radically alive, or as Joseph Campbell says, the rapture of being fully alive. And how do we find that? And the problem is, if we are in constant recoil because we're afraid of feeling constant fright or stress, then we can never even savor the goodness in life. And so, yes, the reason we have 21 pleasure
for it,
or the appetite for it, because you're just exhausted.
For it. Yeah.
Yes, you're not even hungry when you're exhausted, and hungry even for adventure. And so I'm just so grateful for this lesson today. I'm also grateful for the 21 pleasure principles that we will eventually have, that we can pull the card we need. Because sometimes the card is to reconnect with the earth, like yesterday. Sometimes the card is to really surf our ambition and what satisfies our souls. Sometimes the card is to literally take to our beds. And I am suggesting that you add in your deck of cards of pleasure, adrenaline on purpose, pleasure on purpose. We call that in GirlTREK pleasure on purpose. All of our staff with a pop, P-O-P, a pop. What are you going to do this weekend that is pleasure on purpose? Might be get your nails done, might be go to a concert, might be go for a long hike, whatever it is, you intend to do it. So today's conversation is dedicated to pleasure on purpose, and it is adrenaline as alchemy, where you use your adrenaline to heal your body, to satiate your soul, not to be in constant fight or flight. Now it's a good place to start this story, because the woman that we are featuring today, we are introducing Bessie Stringfield. Bessie Stringfield. And Bessie Stringfield was born in the early 1900s. She was a Black woman. Her origin story is almost as controversial as her legendary rides across America, which we will talk about. She was the first Black woman in history to do a solo motorcycle journey across the country. She did it multiple times. She became famous in the early 1900s, Bessie Stringfield. And I want to talk about her origin story with you, Vanessa, because I suspect it is in alignment with what we have been talking about already. Again, if you have felt good adrenaline in your body on purpose, or you have done something that has excited your soul and electrified your physical body, raise your hand. We want to hear quick stories, and a lot of them today, because we want to inspire other people to do things that bring the good kind of fun and adrenaline back into our lives. So you can raise your hand by pressing *9 to raise your hand, *9, and our producer will get you lined up and get you straight. Vanessa, we'll hear from callers in about 15, 20 minutes, because I want to tell this woman's story. All accounts in Social Security records say that Bessie Stringfield was born to a Black family called the Whites. There's a lot of whites here, actually, in North Carolina. Okay? This is what the Social Security records say. I'm saying that these people in 1911 gave birth to this brown baby girl in North Carolina. But Vanessa, this woman told her own story for the rest of her life that was very different. So historians are like, we don't know her origin story, but we knew when she was 16, she got her first Indian 1928 motorcycle, right? And Indian bikes are the collector's bikes. If you ever watch Antiques Roadshow, if they find a barn find of an Indian, they're just like, it is like the holy grail of motorcycles. So the fact that she had one, and she had it in Boston in 1928, and she was 16, that's what we all agree on. That's what she agrees on. That's what the record agrees on. That's what we know. But where she came from, she said she came from Jamaica. But that's what she said. She came from Jamaica, from a wealthy aristocrat who had a servant who was a white lady. Who was a white lady. He had a baby with her. And then the mom died. And then I'm not laughing at the story. I'm laughing at how different the stories are. Either she's from North Carolina or she's from Jamaica, a Jamaican aristocrat. And that the mom died, and somehow she got put into an orphanage in Boston.
Is this why you said that it was apropos to start with Vanessa Renee versus Vanessa Garrison? Because basically,
no, I'm not getting there. I'm getting there. No.
I'm getting there. Is that what you're saying?
You can't be an aristocrat. That can't be your takeaway, but that's not why I said that. And part of why I said it's aligned with our story is because if it is true, if the Social Security records are true, that she was born, what I'm guessing, in the roughness of North Carolina at the 1900s, which is straight off plantations and poverty, that in order to imagine yourself away from the fight or flight and terror of white supremacy post Reconstruction, because it was terrifying to live in America as a Black person during Reconstruction. And the 1900s was the height of lynching of Black bodies. So if we're talking about fight or flight, this is ground zero. North Carolina is ground zero for fight or flight. And if you grow up at the height of lynching outside or on an actual North Carolina plantation in the early 1900s, it would be physical wisdom to retreat into repose, to find some kind of equanimity about life where you just shrug your shoulders and you be like, I don't care. I'm just going to go ahead and lay up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to just find what brings me pleasure right now. I'm going to eat. I'm going to be with this man. I'm going to just avoid all risk at all costs. That would be wisdom, because it's terrifying out there. So my thought is, if you go say, no, there is something else in life for me, I got an appetite for something else, you have to redefine yourself for yourself and your story for yourself. That's all I'm saying, Vanessa. So I understand why she said I'm from a tropical island with an aristocrat, and that somehow, some way, I ended up in this orphanage. Because she did end up in an orphanage.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Black people out there listening, that we have experienced generational trauma that has stopped us dead in our footsteps from stepping into the life of our dreams. And unless we acknowledge population level trauma, there's no possible way that we can change. We have so much hurt and fear coursing through our bodies at any given moment. Because our mothers' mothers were afraid, because Audre Lorde said we learned fear with our mother's milk. So I found it fascinating that this woman recreated herself and told her story broadly and far and wide. Yes, indeed, I'm from Jamaica. And the fact that she said her mom was a servant, was a white servant to her dad, is just illustrative. That's all I'm saying. It's illustrative. And I was just like, okay, I'm pretty sure you're not biracial. I'm pretty sure you're not biracial, but I don't know, Vanessa, about this woman's story. Long story short, she's 16 years old. Are you there? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I'm laughing.
She's 16 years old. She goes, before she's 16, she was in an orphanage, and it was orphanage all Black kids, mostly little girls. And she was adopted by a white woman, an Irish woman whose name has gone down. We don't know her name. Nobody can find her name, but she was adopted by a white woman. And the white woman was incredibly good to her, nurturing to her. And that's also something, y'all.
God. Yes.
But it is not a coincidence. But it is not a coincidence that she became a legendary Black adventurer, and that she was adopted by a white woman. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that she got from beneath the fear of Black motherhood, which is a wisdom in a world of terror, that she got from beneath that she dreamt a new life for herself, and that she was adopted by the privilege and the kind of vast imagination of whiteness. She was adopted by the privilege and vast imagination of whiteness. And we are grateful to God that she was cared for out of an orphanage. But it is to be noted, that it was this woman who bought her first Indian motorcycle. So not only is it the resource to have adventure, but it is the imagination. She said the first time she saw a motorcycle, her upstairs neighbor in Boston had one. So she had proximity to fun. She had proximity to adventure. She had proximity to travel. And so she said she would get on the motorcycle, and she loved it so much she begged her mom for a motorcycle at 16. And she was very compelling. And her mother was like, fine, this is against my better judgment, but I'm gonna get you this motorcycle. She got her the motorcycle, and she started riding all around in the upstate New York. New England, not upstate New York, in New England area around Boston. And Vanessa, by the time she was 19, she graduated and got her first of 27 Harley-Davidsons. She owned 27 Harleys in her life. She got her first Harley, and she committed to riding across the United States on a solo journey. I mean, she was a publicist for her own joy. She was a publicist for her own joy. And she was like, are you committing? Bessie Stringfield, I am committing to riding across the United States of America. So I'm not kidding you. If you think about what's happening, this is the era of Ida B. Wells' lynching campaign, anti-lynching campaigns, like stop lynching Black bodies. So the audacity of this solo Black woman, the fearlessness the freedom, the imagination of this woman to seek her own joy, to cook up her own adrenaline, Vanessa, on the open road is inspiring to me as I'm standing on this dirt road right now in the shade, too scared to walk out in the sun. This is what I'm saying. It is inspiring to me.
Yeah.
It is inspiring to me, Mother Bessie, foremother of adventure. And so she used to do something where she would spread out a map and she would throw a penny on the map, and wherever the penny landed, she would drive.
That's a summertime plan right there. Look,
listen.
Every one of us can craft a weekend, and maybe we got to just do the map of where we could drive to, and you know,
your state map.
Like, yeah, right. You might just need to do a state map, but that's a plan right there. Like, set off on some little adventure in your own area, and just like discover like some barns, discover a farmer's market, discover like some little festival or something, or a river or a stream or a new trail, or there's so much that we could be discovering. I love that idea of throwing a penny.
Yes. Star 9 to raise your hand if you have had adrenaline in your life that really was transformative, or if you plan to do something this summer or this year that you think will inspire other people. The self-care shopping list today in today's email is to do exactly that. It's to go on to Airbnb, and instead of looking for a house, look for a day trip. So click on experiences first. And I promise y'all, this, we don't get sponsored by nobody. We not bossed by nobody. This is just my life and what I be doing. So go on experiences, put in your state, not your city, that's too close to you. Put in your state, and there's going to be a whole list of stuff you could do, from like kayaking to like mountain climbing, and they're guided by local people, and they're way more affordable. I just went horseback riding for $30.
Look, I was just talking to Tyrene about this yesterday, because she was like, remember last year you did that Harriet Tubman bike ride up in upstate New York? She's like, well, the people reached out. They're doing it again next month. Now, first I started cracking jokes, because I'm like, how they going to invite me 1 month out from a trip? Like, that sounds like a lot. But while I was up there last summer, I discovered this really great glamping spot. Like, it's a campground that's on a thing. And I was just like, well, can I make this happen for like a weekend and get on my bike? I'm kind of feeling stronger. Like, I had all these things in my mind, but it's one of the last times I remember experiencing, like, there's just nothing like being on your bicycle. I know it's not a motorbike like Miss Bessie, but it's just like the wind in your face, the scenery going by, it's so freeing. I just love it so much, and I never want to forget that, regardless of like what circumstance I'm in right now, where I haven't been riding my bike lately. But I'm just like, no, I have access.
Don't
to
forget
that
feeling of wind in your hair.
Yes.
Don't forget the feeling of wind in your hair. It is just such liberation. And one of the affirmations today is, I stay packed and ready to go. And I was like, I had to question whether or not I liked that affirmation. I was like, do I want to stay packed, or do I want to be rooted and rested? And I was like, nope, I want to be both. I want to be rooted and I want to be and I want to be stay packed and ready to go.
No place you can't. I've been looking at the Pharrell Louis Vuitton fashion show from yesterday in Paris, and I was like, I know my invitation coming next year. Like, I have just manifested it so quickly, and I was like, there's no place somebody can invite me right now where I couldn't be ready in 2 hours. Like, I don't care where you say we're going to.
Here, speaking of, I'm going to Aspen, Colorado in 2 hours. I'm not packed, but my life is packed. My life is packed. My car got to stay full with gas. I got only clothes I can see in my eyesight. I just pick from these clothes I got on one of them fancy little hanger things that I got, and I'll just pick, put it in the bag. I stay packed. That's what I'm saying. I chose to go into Denver. Vanessa gave me a route that she's traveled before. I'm going to go through the scenic mountains of Colorado. I'm going to drive myself.
Yes.
This is today. This is right after.
Yes.
This is right after. I'm asking you right now, but I'm about to be splashing.
You're about to be
on the way to the airport.
I'm about to be Bessie. Yes.
I'm about to be in the spirit of Miss Bessie. I'm about to hit this open road. I'm super excited about it. So she used to throw a penny. One of the facts that I learned about her that I loved is that she would travel very light, Vanessa. All she had was her leather jacket, her money belt, and a change of clothes that fit in the side saddle. That's it. And I said, if that ain't a masterclass.
You can wash
If
your
that
underclothes.
ain't
It's like,
master
let me
class. Well, she
let
had
me tell y'all something. Look, you can, as somebody who's traveled a lot, let me tell you, you can wash them underclothes. You can reuse your pants like at least, even now, look, you can reuse your pants like 8 different times. You only need like 2 tops, one for when you sleep in, and also that could be a kick around top, and one for when you're riding. And when I was doing bike touring, that's all I would carry. Yeah.
Yes, that's all the clothes. The clothes that she could fit in her side saddle is all the clothes that she brought. Her money belt. First of all, the 1920s when she got a money belt is gangsta, and a leather coat, which is also cute because you just put that over your clothes and look fly. And she said people would be in shock to see a solo Negro woman, first of all, out by herself, second, on a motorcycle. And she goes, she became a spectacle, and she loved it. She said she used to stand on the saddle and ride standing up. She was like, she just had it going on, Vanessa. She's had it going on. She ended up taking multiple trips continental. She went to all 48 states in continental U.S., so outside of Alaska and Hawaii, she went to every single state. She went to Brazil, rode her motorcycle through Brazil, through Haiti, she rode her motorcycle, and through England, she rode her motorcycle. Black woman, 1920s. That's all what you know, 1920s and 30s. Vanessa, she, first of all, she moved, bought herself a house. She used to do motorcycle tricks in order to make money, like all these wheelies and stuff. And she would enter into contests and like carnivals and all this stuff. And she would make money to support herself. She became famous, and that's where it came to your name. She married 6 times, by the way. Count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the open road, she found 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 men who loved her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marriages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dun 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 dun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This ain't for me. I'm walking away from this. 6 marriages. And I think it was her 3rd or 4th husband, who was Stringfield, and he begged her to keep his name because he said, "You made my name famous." She was like, "I got you. I got you. I'm gonna keep this name." And I was like, sometimes if they just ask you, you would do the right thing. But that's not but since they won't even act right and acknowledge that you done made their name famous, then you got to go back to your other name. That's all I'm saying. And so, yes. So that's what reminded me of that part. So then she settled in Miami. First of all, she started being a motorcycle courier for the military, and was carrying secrets and all kinds of stuff for World War II. And she was just like riding through the battle lines. And I'm just saying, this woman, somebody make this movie. Somebody make this movie just your first 10% of proceeds donated back to GirlTREK. That's all. We don't even need no contract or nothing. We trust you. Make this movie. So she was a military courier on her motorcycle. She did have some trauma in her life where she had 3 pregnancies with her first husband, and she lost all of them. And so, and she never had kids after that. And my heart went out to her when I read that. I was like, man. And she still carried on, after that deep grief and deep sorrow. She ended up, Vanessa, moving to Miami, which, first of all, shout out to every Black girl in Miami. It's a special sauce there. She moved to Miami. She bought herself this cute little house. And she lived until 1993. I was like, we was like sophomores. She was still alive until like 1993, Vanessa. And
So she lived to be over 90?
No, 80. 82.
80. Okay.
So she was born in either 1911 or 1912. It depends on which story you go with. She was born. Yeah. And so she, but when she was in Miami, she didn't stop. Like, they called her the motorcycle queen of Miami. And she started a motorcycle gang called the Iron Horses, the female motorcycle gang, which I know is kind of how you roll. That's all I'm saying. And then, is how she rolls. So I want to open up the lines. She passed away actually from an enlarged heart, which is something we know and we just cannot gloss over. That heart disease is the #1 killer of Black women. And that heart disease comes from hypertension, and hypertension comes from lack of exercise, poor diet, and high stress levels. And so it is preventable, and long life is for us, and long life is what we want. and that we are calling on our lives, a decade longer lives for every single woman hearing this, that we will increase the life expectancy of Black women by a decade, by 10 years and 10 years. So she just want to tell her in her transition and ascendance that we are grateful for her adventurous spirit and that we are all going to commit to some great adventure this year. Vanessa, what is the thing that you've done that has given you the best good adrenaline in your life? And then what is one thing, let's model for the people, because we want to keep these short and get a lot of ideas out. What is the something you've done in your life that has brought you the most adrenaline, and or something you want to do this year that you think is going to bring you adrenaline?
The summit night at Mount Kilimanjaro, and riding my bike in the ice fields up in British Columbia, Canada, really literally like right past the ice field. And it was just so spectacular. Both of those things, like,
wait, you got to tell us more. Also, sorry, don't model this for the people. You got to tell us more about both of those. What are you even talking about?
So I did Kilimanjaro in Tanzania for my 40th birthday, and the first like 6 days of the hike, y'all, I was like, I'm killing it. Got my GirlTREK shirt on. You can't tell me nothing. I'm getting up this thing. Then the last summit day come, and all you need to know is that there was tears. I was in the dirt. I couldn't make it. They had to pray over me. They was like, sister, you can do it. I was like, God hit me for me to be up here, take me down. I just was like, it can't happen. Everything was frozen. Everything was cold. It was so grueling. We went in the dark time. I mean, it was just physically so challenging. People were dropping like flies. But by that time, I was like, I saw myself doing a joy jump at that summit. I knew it was going to happen. And I made it all the way up there. The sun rose over the sign. I promise I was trembling, but I was like, just hold this phone. I'm going to do this joy jump. And I got my joy jump at the top of Kilimanjaro. And it was just so full of adrenaline. And then I was on a bike ride with Marty, my ex-husband, and we were riding from Montana to British Columbia through Banff and all these really beautiful spaces. And there's an area where you go through something called the ice fields, and it's literally just glacier after glacier after glacier. And it's so hard to get there by car that you see all these people in the distance trying to get close, but on your bike, you could get right up there and it's freezing and the ice is melting, unfortunately, but it's just so beautiful and majestic to just like with the own power of just your legs and this non-motorized thing, push yourself up these huge passes and then across these ice fields and then to the other side and like cross state lines, cross the border with your passport and just your bicycle. Like it feels like, woo, at any minute some stuff can go down. But the stuff maybe going down is part of the reason that you're out there. So you're like, if it go down, I'm gonna be ready. And it's like just the whole like on alert thing, but in the most beautiful way, because there's no time for distractions. And that's one of the things about adrenaline that serves us, y'all. In a world where we are distracted by everything, in a world where we're constantly multitasking, in a world where your attention and energy is constantly divided, when you find the right activity that calls the adrenaline to you, you have no choice but to focus in the here and now. It is a prayer, a meditation, a discipline, a practice to be like, my life depends on me paying attention in this moment and to just surrender to that moment. And that's what I remember about my like moments that are filled with adrenaline.
It's actually a healthy hormone, adrenaline. It calls you to action. It calls you to attentiveness, as you say, and to focus. And so, how do you wield that in the health, in the improvement of your own health? You're saying?
Yeah, and I'll say that I can't recall what preacher was preaching this particular sermon, but it always stood with me the story of Noah. And this preacher was saying that we misinterpret the story so much and that Noah was frightened. He was like, but the fear caused him to act, to start building the ark. And they were like, it's not that he wasn't afraid. It was that he was so afraid he understood and believed the real thing was coming, even though there was no material evidence of it. And they were like, so sometimes we are in those spaces where also the fear is telling us something. It's telling you to move. It's telling you to act. It's telling you to do the thing now. And you have to move through it and still do the thing. And I always remember that story about Noah, because I'm like, yeah, the way I had always envisioned it in my mind is different once I heard that it's like, you know what, I trust so much in what I'm hearing and what I'm believing and my intuition saying that I need to do something, that even in this fear state, instead of freezing, I'm going to do something about it.
I love that. We crave the focus and attentiveness that the hormone of adrenaline brings us. And sometimes when we're used to fight or flight, we create that kind of drama so that we can have the experience of focus. And that's where people start cutting and burning themselves and all kinds of stuff, or like being reckless, doing drive-bys, doing all kinds of stuff or reckless sex, or all these sorts of things that like bring you the satisfaction of a single pointed mind or single pointed focus. When really you can do a slow drip of adrenaline, you can do the everyday focus of all these kinds of meditation. Because it's funny, when you were talking about your adrenaline things, I was like, yeah, my adrenaline was different actually. Mine was like a drip of adrenaline that I decided in a lifestyle form that was more expansive. And so like I went to Bermuda. Just kidding. Bermuda Triangle seems scary. I didn't go there. Barbados. I went to Barbados. Actually on a surf camp, but that's not the adrenaline part. Although it was a lot. It was the kind of adrenaline you were talking about, which I do think particularly we need to shock ourselves out of some of the stuff that we are dealing with. And I could particularly use some adrenaline right now, like a dose. But my adrenaline was, I got for my birthday, and I was married. For my birthday by myself, I got a hut on the edges of this gorgeous beach. And it was like kind of on the crags of a beach. It's this small little Airbnb 1-bedroom. And I stayed there, and it was out there by myself. And I stayed there. And then in the mornings, I got my camera. This is when I was doing photography. And I went out to find a story to photograph. And I found these gorgeous Black fishermen, and one of them's name was Sweet Potato. And I befriended Sweet Potato, and I begged him to let me into their inner circle so that I could photograph his fishing crew at sunrise every single morning for a week. And he convinced all of them that I could come in, and I photographed them flawlessly. It was one of my best photo stories ever. And the sun was right. There was a woman who was pregnant, and she was always rubbing her belly. The way they cast their nets, the way that sometimes showers would come in and they would get under the underhangs of the rocks. The way I protected myself with good sense, but let myself be free and integrated into their communities. It just felt like I was fully alive for that week. It felt so good. I got closer to those people than I have to many of my close friends. You know what I mean? Because we spent quality time together. So that was one of them. And then kind of in the middle of those two forms of slow drip adrenaline or fast coming adrenaline was going on safari. Now, it is a commitment to go on safari. It takes a long time to get out to where the animals are. You be on that bumpy thing or whatever. But here's the thing, Vanessa. I went with a gentleman friend. And here's the thing about this particular gentleman friend. Well, I don't want to say his name, because he understands fight or flight. He was orphaned as a baby. He was born in a third world country. He's a Black man with a consciousness. He's a Rasta. And the world is terrifying when those are your demographics. It's terrifying. And so he did things that brought him super focus to overcome the super fear. And that super focus led him to a life of drug dealing. He escaped his country and took a raft to another country. He led all of the people out of this immigration danger into, I mean, he was he really was kind of a Harriet Tubman of the underworld. That's what I'm saying. Like, right. And I'm just saying he really was. And like, then when he came back to his real life, and like his spiritual practice and all this stuff, it didn't feel engaging enough to match the chemical alchemy he had experienced by defining his life for his life. And so he fell into a depression. And so me and him going on safari was the positive side of that. And it changed his life forever. When I tell you he came back, he started hitting the gym every day. He started praying 6 times a day, or how many times muscles pray? 5 times? 6 times? He started praying on the muscle calendar.
More times than us.
Yes, and he started wearing them long white Kofi dress things, looking good in his muscles and his neck. And I was just like, what happened? And he was like, that trip changed my life because it reminded me that you can have doses of good. I mean, we were in a tent out there with the what you call the men who jump real high with the
the Maasai.
With the Maasai, yeah. So we was at a Maasai camp. They was teaching us how to jump real high and everything like that. And then we slept in a tent, and they was like, "Okay, here go a whistle. If a lion comes, just blow the whistle, and the Maasai gonna come scare him away." That don't sound like a good plan. So I'm thinking, what are the odds that a lion's going to come down? There ain't really no odds. Let me just go ahead and go to sleep. So I had a cough. So I kept coughing all night. And he was just looking like, can you please stop coughing? I was just like, so we started laughing because I couldn't stop coughing. So I was coughing, laughing. And we were just busting up laughing every single 5 minutes because we were scared that I was coughing. And then all of a sudden, we felt the presence of the lion before we heard the presence of the lion. We just felt the shadowy presence of something big outside of our tent. And then he just stood there right by the tent. And then he was just like, oh, and I just stuck in my cough. I promise you, every involuntary cough muscle just seized. I said, devil, like, listen, we not about to cough. I've never been so about to get animal. No. And so he left, and then I was like, get up and look out the window. He got up and looked out the window. It was gone. But we woke up in the morning. There were giraffes walking by. It was gorgeous. So I'm just saying life is to be lived. Let's open up the phone lines, y'all. We want to hear something that has brought you good adrenaline in your past or in your future. I've decided I'm going to Sri Lanka, Vanessa.
Oh, that's great.
Season. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll love it there.
Yeah. Is there surfing there?
There must be, because it seems, I wasn't looking for it, but it seems like the type of water that has surfing.
It also seems like the kind of water that has sharks. A little too warm.
But it's the Indian Ocean, so it's like it's really pretty too. So.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I decided that's what I'm going to do. Anybody on the line? Say where you're from. She's on. Hello.
I am. Hello.
Hi, sis. What's your name? Where you're from? What's your adrenaline of choice?
Jerry Smith. I'm in Mission Viejo, California, and my adrenaline of choice is downhill skiing.
Whoa! Come on, black girl skier. Take some pictures. #GirlTREK. That's excellent. Where
it is, because skiing is no joke. Okay, and it's hard. So I tried one time, and I ain't never tried again.
Well, I've been skiing for probably 40 years, 40, 50 years. I'm 75 years old. I hosted my first welcome Juneteenth GirlTREK this last Saturday in Orange County.
Yay!
And to my surprise, 5 women showed up with their GirlTREK shirts on. They're already GirlTREKers. I said, amazing.
That is amazing. Oh, that's so good. Well, you have to tell them that you go skiing, and they can maybe get their weight up. And come on. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Do you have any plans for the Do you have any plans for the year? Are you going to go skiing this summer or this winter?
Oh yeah, I ski every year. We already skied. We skied in April. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's we?
Vanessa,
who's skiing with you? Who's we?
I have a group of people that I've skied with for the last 35 years. We go every year, and they're people I used to work with 35 years ago. We're still friends, and we ski every year. The oldest person in the group is 85, and he's the best skier.
Whoa, y'all, it ain't never too late. That's so genius. Thank you so much, sister, for calling in. We're going to take another caller to try to get as many as we can. So other callers,
can I say something, Morgan, while we're transitioning, while the caller is coming on? Y'all, first of all, 5 women showing up in Orange County already with their GirlTREK t-shirts on to a welcome walk
is a testimony.
It's just like, it is a testimony. And the storytelling team met yesterday, and we was just like, we can't move on. We can't move on from the welcome walk. We were like, we got to double down. We got to double down on them, y'all. We was like, we didn't get all to the neighborhood we wanted to get to. I just want the
storytelling team to cut me my check. I just want y'all to cut me my check.
We can't move on.
Cut me my check, because Welcome Walks is literally from God's ears to my lips.
Third Saturday of July, third Saturday of August, and the third Saturday of September, we will be Welcome Walks.
You know what I'm saying?
We're giving you. Look, we're gonna cut you a check. We're gonna cut. We're gonna
give me my roses while I'm here.
We're gonna get you a radical tote bag.
Yes, yes. We have another caller on. I was gonna say, Vanessa, remember you used to go to Black Ski Weekend, could ski a lick with your.
I went one. That was the one and only time I tried to ski, and I bought literally $1,000 worth of ski gear. Ralph Lauren, yellow, looked so good. Me and Tasha, we was all matching, and then I got up there and had to get rescued. I was like, oh, I'm tripping. So I really need to revisit skiing this winter, or maybe snowboarding or something. But I'm not sure.
I used to go snowboarding with Casey.
I do.
Casey's such a good snowboarder. Yeah, we used to go snowboarding. I was good at it. It's similar to surfing. So if you get the snowboarding principles right, it's similar to surfing. All right, y'all. There's another caller on. Let's hear.
Hello.
What activity is your adrenaline of choice?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sis. What's your name? Where are you from?
This is Marquita. I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Hi, Marquita.
And when I'm 65 now. When I was 60, I started bike riding, cycling, and one day this girl said, "Hey, y'all know we can sign up for this triathlon," and I said, "Okay, I'll do the bike part." And somebody else could do the run, somebody else could do the swim. I did a whole triathlon. I went and took swim lessons so I could learn how to breathe correctly, because I knew how to not drown. And so I did my first triathlon.
That's such a good goal.
60, and then I did 2 more. So I did 3 by the time I was 63, and then we had pandemic. So.
Whoa. Well, you definitely got to start training for your next one. You definitely got to start training for
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't really train. I didn't even really train. But I did.
Sometimes you got to get out there, right? Sometimes you just got to get out there. I love that story so much.
Me
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
You.
All right, let's see if we can take 2 or 3 more callers. This is good. Vanessa, we need to go ahead and, 2024 is when we're going to do our triathlon. I'm going to start swimming.
Yeah. Y'all, we was planning to do one this summer, but I'm one leg of the 3-leg team, and I had to get better. But I feel like, look,
you ain't better. Rest and repose. Yes, but you're looking good, though, girl. You're looking good. All right, we have another caller on. Yes, indeed. Yes. So snowboarding, skiing, triathlons, hiking, surfing, photography. Yeah, safari, tourism.
Yeah. Oh, Morgan, this is so important, actually. God, thank you for reminding me to remind this. While we're getting this last caller on, or one of the other callers, I just want to say a praise report to Black History Bootcamp, because yesterday I was like, I need to go to yoga, because I've been doing really good at going to yoga, but I missed several days last week. So I was like, wow, I really noticed a difference. Let me go to yoga tonight. So I go to 2 different yoga classes, but the classes both are canceled. So I was like, this is a sign that you just need to go get some dinner and rest. So I'm walking home, and I was going to go to a restaurant I always go to, but I saw a new Black-owned restaurant. And I was like, don't pass up this Black-owned restaurant to go to this other restaurant. So I sit down, have me a luxurious, delicious Caribbean meal with this callaloo soup that was just, I've never had before. Yum. It was so amazing. And I sit down next to a beautiful Black girl who is a vegan chef and an herbalist. And I'm like, what? You're an herbalist? Because today we was talking about Emma Dupree, and she just poured into me such beautiful conversation. We sat there eating, talking about her work and about the herbs and about how she just closed down her vegan restaurant in Baltimore. She's kind of grieving it, but she's like, but I got a next save. I'm getting ready to get there. And it was just I was so grateful that I took a walk, first of all. That's it. I walked in my own neighborhood. I tried to access the yoga studio, but I couldn't. And then I was like, I still want to do something. I go to this dinner by myself, and I ordered all the things, y'all, fancy out there. They was looking at me, and she was also by herself. And she was on the phone with someone trying to explain to them that it's okay to eat by yourself. And the person was telling her that isn't she embarrassed? I could hear the whole conversation. Then that's how we started talking, because she hung up the phone and she's like, people don't even know. This is like a treat. This is like a dream.
See,
I don't need
that's
nobody
another
to be here.
example. No, that's another example of adrenaline, is how do you take yourself out to have a good time, to do the things that you want to do, even if it's local. It's another excellent example. I'm so glad you met her, V.
I was too.
So
her name is Anu, and we're going to hang out. And it just was so fulfilling. And I felt like if I hadn't had the conversation about Emma Dupree, I wouldn't have called that in. And it just is, I'm grateful, because it also reminded me that we are Emma Dupree. Like, we are the next generation of people who are just figuring it out, just trying to navigate. We're just learning. And it may not look like Emma Dupree now, but it will later.
I had such a good idea this morning. You mentioned going to the Black-owned restaurant. One of the things I didn't tell you about Miss Bessie Stringfield, sorry, Miss Bessie Stringfield is Stringfield. Miss Bessie Stringfield is that she used the Green Book in order to find places where she could stay. And when she said that the biggest danger on the road was not like the weather or the animals or whatever, it was white supremacy. And she said that several times that she was harassed, and one time run off the road by a white man in a truck. He tried to injure her. And she didn't have a place to sleep because the hotels were segregated. And so she sometimes slept on her bike, which I was like, what does that even look like? You know, like, what kind of shape you got to be in to sleep on your bike? But sometimes she slept on her Harley. Okay. We have another caller.
I think we have somebody else on,
Yeah, we'll take one more. Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. What's your name? Where you calling
Stephanie.
from? What's your adventure?
Stephanie calling from Tampa. I love you guys' podcast. I listen to it all the time. It's so inspirational, so I'm so grateful to be on the call.
Oh, thank you for that.
So my husband and I, we went to Cancun, Mexico, and we did like a little adventure tour, like day trip. And it was where you can do like zip lining, and you go to the cenote and see a big open sinkhole of water.
Oh my God, I want to go to the cenote.
You have to do it. So
wait, what's it called?
We get there. It's a cenote.
The cenote.
It's basically like those, a big
like
open
lakes
water.
Yeah.
Oh, the girl last night was just telling me about this. I never had heard of it in my life. Wow.
Yep. So we went there, and the tour guide guy was like, oh, do you want to jump off the cliff? And there were two cliffs. There was a short one and then a really tall one, like a 50-foot one. And I'm like, yes. I was so excited. I look at my husband, and he was like not as excited, but he did it anyway. So we go up there. You could tell he wasn't excited, but he's like, whatever, she want to do it, so we're going to do it. So we get up there.
That's a good man.
And the tour guide guy, he jumps off first. He does a backflip off. I'm like, okay, he's showing off or whatever. And then my husband goes, and then it's time for me to go. And I freeze, y'all. Like, I literally, like, I looked down because, I don't know, like, I looked down and I freaked out. So I'm just standing there like, what are you going to do? Like, you have to jump. Like, you're already up here. And by this time, it's like 5 minutes later. Like, it's a whole crowd now. And this guy, like, that was taking pictures come up there. And he's like, Senorita, I'm coming up here to help you. Like, I'm going to help you out. So, like, I'm making everybody count to 3 so that I can jump. And, like, I finally just jumped and did it. Like, I couldn't look down. Like, I just had to do it. And it was, like, the most adrenaline ever. It was so much fun. But, yeah.
Yay! First of all, you must be young if they calling you senorita, because they'd be like, right. You're like, senora. Yeah, so definitely you must be young and fine. That's good. Shout out to the young listeners out there. And we have said so many cool things. Jumping off cliffs, girl, that's it. That's the most purest form of adrenaline right there that is even possible on this earth. So congratulations for overcoming your fear, and for doing it in love and coupledom is cool too. And, you know, we don't have to go around the world, like places like Mexico, Hawaii, like we mentioned Alaska, Vanessa mentioned that are really adjacent to the United States are so accessible, y'all. The amount of money we spend with one Sunday dinner with all the cousins coming over would be $400-500. For $400-500, if you plan ahead, you can go on a cruise to Cancun or something like that. Now, if you want to go with somebody else, it's gonna be more than that. And it might be more than that anyway, but I'm saying you get the point. The point is that it is within your access, y'all. It's within. Thank you so much, sis, for sharing your story. We are going to wrap up today. Vanessa, thank you for going on this adventure with us. God, jumping off cliffs. I'm trying to even name some other stuff that you and I have done just so we give people ideas.
We rafted down the Colorado River, remember?
We rafted down the Colorado.
I think Kalima was with us on that trip. Oh, I mean, it wasn't really rafting, but it was like in a boat.
Oh, that float. Now,
okay, we floated. Okay, it felt adrenaline to me. But shit, we floated down the river.
No, I did raft down the Salmon River in Idaho, and that was adrenaline. There was like all these rapids, and but we did float, and that also was good. It was adrenaline in more of like a intellectual adrenaline, because we were like in the petroglyphs of native cultures where they had carved out maps on these ancient walls, and that's in Utah. It's called Horseshoe Bend. I really recommend it. You can float down that.
Rock climbing is a good one, I feel like, for Black women.
Climbing.
And if you try it in a rock climbing gym near you, even just to kind of get your bearings about yourself. But I think that it's a good space for Black women to be in.
That's a really good one. Roller skating, first of all, is like the kind of dosage of adrenaline every time you go around that curve, every time you turn around and start skating backwards. Don't forget about roller skating, y'all. It's a good one. Going on a hike. I saw my little niece, I was telling Vanessa, my niece in St. Louis, shout out to Joy. I saw her and her little friends out there. She was like, if you want to date me, you got to take me out into nature. I was like, okay,
that's right.
Be cool. Like, be cool, kid. You know, but she was out there with, like, putting on her bug spray and stuff. It was super cute. So finding a local hike near you, like, here's the last thing I will say. One time we were all hiking. It was all GirlTREK organizers. We were hiking up in the Rocky Mountains, and we came across a beautiful family, and it was white parents and a little Black girl. And we talked about this a little bit on another boot camp, but it was like it was a strange moment. She was surprised to see 20 Black women up there, and we were not surprised, but we were actually not surprised at all to see her with white people up there, because it seemed like the only pathway to this great adventure for this little girl. And I want that to stop for us. I want us to try and summons our own fearlessness and then bring our children along with that. And I know they are our precious jewels. I know that we find great satisfaction in seeing them thrive and grow. I know that we have fear and we don't want to put them in compromising situations, but we also cannot, we cannot cover them so much where they can't get the sun and they can't get the light and they can't get the goodness in life. We have to have enough faith in their freedom. And so I encourage particularly Black mothers out there to go toward the things that scare you and do the things that scare you so that you can start to experience that you are held. I'm not asking you to be reckless. I'm asking you to be brave. And through your courage, you will give your daughters and your sons permission to be brave and free. So that's where I want to end today. And speaking of brave and free, this weekend was Father's Day. And I gave a shout out to my big brother, who's always been brave and free his entire life, including starting his own one-man resistance movement on Sunday mornings when my mom used to try and make us get dressed for church. And he would play this song in the basement on giant speakers. And it reminded me of Miss Bessie Stringfield. So we're going to end with more bounce to the outs.